Welcome back. Now, the rapid transition towards financial inclusion that sub-Saharan Africa has been seeing in the last decade could not have happened without a successful adoption of mobile money. However, mobile money and financial technologies have brought Africa's sub-Saharan population much more than just access to financial services. It has laid a foundation for new and innovative services that are instrumental to achieving some of the key goals that the UN has laid under the Sustainable Development Goals Initiative. Now, this week, technology experts will converge on Lagos for the second edition of FinTech Annual Conference, which promises to herald contemporary thinking and developments in financial technology. I'm being joined by the CEO of Precise Financial Systems, Yeni Okeremi, to look at some of the key issues. Good afternoon, Mr. Okeremi. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
My pleasure.
So tell me, what are the key challenges and prospects in the financial technology ecosystem in Africa?
Well, you know, when we talk about the ecosystem, the way we understand it, and the most prominent technology ecosystem in the world is what we see in Silicon Valley. And if you look at the way scholars and even practitioners have taken a look at what is called an ecosystem, that's from biology, ecology. It starts from schools to startups, to operators, and to investors, as it were. And that's the way it has been in Silicon Valley. But if you take a look at what we do in Africa, I see us actually coming into the technology ecosystem from the middle. So there's a lot of emphasis and lots of buzz on startups. And sometimes we make it look like startups is something that's pretty new. But, you know, startups have been since the days of Cain and Abel. Many companies that you see that have become giants today, the Microsofts, the Oracles, were once startups. So really, if we want to take a look at the ecosystem justifiably and in a very sound manner to ourselves, we need to take a look at the entire cycle, how it goes from the cradle and maybe to grave.
Now, you are a software developer, an expert in software development.
I used to be.
I don't know what that means. Now, we've seen a lot of work done in the financial system in terms of, you know, software development. Well, we haven't seen much done in the non-financial system, like we have the agriculture.
Excellent. Now, and that's pretty simple. So take a look at it, how things work. And that's exactly what I was saying. Naturally, if you are looking for such solutions, you follow the money. So the opportunities is what particularly in private sector. So people need to follow the money. Where are the opportunities? Where are they likely to make money out of it? So, I mean, and I'm not deriding agriculture, but I stand both, and this could be controversial. The way we are pursuing it in Nigeria, to my mind, is a non-starter, because we still take a whole look at agriculture from a subsistence and primitive standpoint. If you really want to practice agriculture to be competitive, then you've got to take a look at how countries are practicing it.
But technology is key.
So that's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. So in those countries that are practicing agriculture, the way things are done, it's a whole technology game. I mean, look at the way, talk about the milk production of cows, talk about the yield of rice, talk about the yield of maize. Countries have researched appropriately. It's all technology driven. But what are we doing in Nigeria? We have not started at all. And therefore, the technology people are not likely going to go into that area. But if you take a look at the financial sector, there's some level of maturity. Might be not very mature, but if you take a look at our banking sector, indeed, we are doing excellently, not too badly when you compare what we are doing with what other people are doing anywhere in the world. And that tells you the reason. That explains the reason why so much emphasis is on fintech, not on agri-tech or edutech or any other thing.
Now, so what are those of you in the industry, for instance, that have really seen quite a lot in the industry doing to actually ensure that the experts begin to look at these non-financial systems to begin to develop more technology there?
So you see, there are two sides to it. So the best private business people can do is seek opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, And secondly, engage policy and policymakers and government. A whole lot must be done by government and policymakers if these things are going to happen, because there must be enabling environment for business opportunities to be created by entrepreneurs. That's the bottom line. So the best that can happen is that the entrepreneurs seek where they get maximum profitability or maximum impact. And that's exactly what you are seeing. So when things begin to open up in those other areas, you begin to see involvement of technology as well in those areas.
So now we have this FinTech conference coming up this week. What should be the key issues that should play out there?
Well, to my mind, I'll tell you. So one of the things I've seen is that if you take a look at Africa and people talk about FinTech, people are most likely to think Kenya. And Kenya's FinTech industry, as it were, was popularized by M-Pesa. And so if you take a look at investors, I was the chairman of Demo Africa for 2 years, 2014 and 2015. And there were lots of emphasis on Kenya. But when we did it, when Nigeria hosted it, we saw that the top IT startups, a good number of them came from Nigeria. So the question is, we do not even tell our stories. And until we tell our success stories appropriately, nobody's going to know what we are doing. And much more importantly, we need to focus not just on the optics. We need to focus on the substance. You see, there's an African proverb that says that all the stories about hunting expedition will continue to glorify and gratify the hunters until the lions tell their stories. Nigeria needs to tell its own success story. A whole lot is happening in Nigeria. We have maturity, but these things need to be typified. And let's talk less about corruption, about fraud. Let's talk about successes that Nigerians are making.
Right, so that should be, of course, the main focus for this conference.
In my opinion.
Tell our story, our own stories, an opportunity for us. Anyway, thank you very much for coming on the show, Mr. Oyele Keremi.
Very good pleasure.
Oyele Keremi is the CEO of Precise Financial Systems Limited. We'll move on now. In South Africa, retailer Steinhoff plans to sell about 7.5 billion rand of shares in investment firm PSG Group as it scrambles to plug a liquidity gap after it disclosed accounting irregularities. The group, which owns more than 40 brands like Conforama, Mattress Firm and Poundland, says it will place around 29.5 million shares in PSG with institutional investors in an accelerated book build. Steinhoff owns 16% of PSG, which has a total market value of around 60 billion rand. However, it said in a statement today that the placement would only go ahead if it achieved acceptable pricing. Meanwhile, South Africa's stock exchange says it may suspend trade in the bonds of retail Steinhoff if the company delays financial results and not published before the end of February. Well, that's a wrap on the show for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu.